Some of us were never ordinary children. Even before we understood who we were, we already felt different. We carried emotions too heavy for our age. We noticed things other people ignored. Deep down, many of us always felt that God was guiding us towards something bigger. What if those strange childhood moments were never random at all? What if they were signs we were chosen from the very beginning? Stay until the end, because God may confirm something your soul has felt for years. Like this video, subscribe, and comment "Chosen" so God can bless your path and strengthen your calling. Number 1. You always felt different. Before we understood purpose, many of us first experienced separation. Not physical separation, but something deeper. Even as children, we could feel it. We laughed with people but still felt alone afterward. We sat in classrooms, at family tables, in crowded places. Yet something inside us quietly whispered that we did not fully belong there. And the strange part is that we often tried to ignore it. We wanted to be normal. We wanted to think like everyone else, react like everyone else, fit in like everyone else. But no matter how hard we tried, our minds kept searching for deeper meaning. While other children moved through life carelessly, we noticed tension in people's voices, sadness hidden behind smiles, and emotions nobody else seemed to see. Some of us were called too sensitive. Others were told we think too much. But what if that difference was never a weakness? What if God allowed us to feel separate early because He never intended for us to follow the crowd blindly? Chosen people often feel isolated before they feel called. Not because God abandoned them, but because He was shaping their discernment before revealing their assignment. The discomfort we felt growing up was not proof that something was wrong with us. It may have been the first sign that heaven had already marked our lives for something different. Number 2. You survived things that should have broken you. Some of us should not be where we are today. There were moments in childhood that could have completely changed the direction of our lives. Situations that looked dangerous. Seasons that felt dark. Environments that slowly damaged everyone around us. And yet somehow, we made it through with something inside us still alive. That is what many chosen people begin to notice later in life. When we look back, certain memories feel impossible to explain. A sudden change of plans that protected us. A strong feeling telling us not to go somewhere. An accident that almost happened. A relationship that ended before it destroyed us. At the time, none of it made sense. But now it feels like God's hand was quietly covering us before we even understood His voice. Some children grow up believing survival was luck, but spiritually marked people often realize it was preservation. Because when God places purpose on a life, He does not walk away from it easily. The enemy attacks early what heaven intends to use deeply. That is why many chosen people face confusion, fear, rejection, or spiritual heaviness at young ages. But despite all of it, something keeps pulling them forward. Something refuses to let them completely collapse. Maybe that was never coincidence. Maybe God protected us because our story was meant to continue. And maybe the fact that we survived what nearly destroyed us is itself one of the clearest signs we were chosen from the beginning. Number 3. You carried heavy emotions too early. Most children are taught to focus on themselves, but many of us were different from the beginning. We walked into rooms and immediately felt the atmosphere change. We noticed stress in our parents before they spoke a single word. We sensed sadness hiding behind fake smiles. Even at a young age, we became emotionally alert without fully understanding why. And over time, many of us slowly became the strong one. The child who stayed quiet to avoid creating more problems. The one who listened instead of speaking. the one who comforted others while secretly carrying confusion inside. Some of us learned how to read people before we learned how to fully understand ourselves. That kind of emotional weight changes a person early. It forces maturity before childhood is even finished. And for years, many chosen people resent that part of their story. We wonder why life felt heavy so soon while others seemed free and carefree. But sometimes God develops depth through pressure. People who are called to guide others later in life often experience emotional stretching early because compassion cannot be taught only through words. It is formed through experience, through pain, through understanding what silent suffering looks like. What we carried was not meaningless. It may have been preparation for the people God will one day place in our path, because those who can truly heal others are often the ones who first learned how to survive emotional storms themselves. Number 4, you questioned things. Other children accepted. Even as children, many of us struggled to pretend. We could sit in a room full of people agreeing with something and still feel deep inside that something was wrong. Not because we wanted attention, not because we enjoyed conflict, but because there was a voice within us that refused to stay silent when something felt dishonest, unfair, or spiritually empty. That inner resistance usually appeared early. Some of us challenged teachers without meaning to. Others constantly asked questions adults became uncomfortable answering. We noticed hypocrisy faster than most people around us. We could sense when someone's words and spirit did not match. And because of that, many of us were misunderstood long before we understood ourselves. People may have called us difficult, but in reality, we were developing discernment. Chosen people are often wired differently from childhood because God does not prepare leaders by teaching them to blindly follow crowds. He teaches them to recognize truth, even when truth makes them stand alone. That is why conformity always felt exhausting to us. We could imitate others for a while, but eventually our spirit resisted it. Looking back now, many of us realize we were not rebellious children. We were spiritually awake children trying to survive in environments that rewarded silence over conviction. And although that struggle created loneliness, it also created strength. Because one day, the same voice that made us question false things early in life may become the voice God uses to guide others toward truth. Number 5, you were drawn to silence more than noise. While other children were constantly chasing attention, activity, and distraction, many of us felt strangely comfortable in quiet places. We could spend long periods alone with our thoughts and not feel bored. In fact, some of our deepest moments happened when nobody else was around. At the time, we probably did not understand why. We just knew that loud environments drained us. Certain conversations felt empty. Too much noise made us feel disconnected from ourselves. So we escaped inward. We observed people carefully. We imagined different futures. We replayed experiences in our minds, searching for meaning most children were too young to think about. Some adults saw this as weakness or awkwardness. But silence often becomes the training ground for spiritually chosen people. Because before God uses someone publicly, He usually develops them privately. Away from applause, away from constant validation, away from the pressure to become like everyone else. That hidden season teaches people how to hear clearly instead of simply reacting emotionally to the world around them. Many of us thought isolation meant rejection, but sometimes it was protection. God was reducing the noise around us so we could develop spiritual sensitivity early, the ability to reflect deeply, The ability to recognize truth quietly. The ability to stay grounded even when life becomes chaotic. And now looking back, we realize something powerful. The moments we thought we were alone may have been the very moments God was shaping the deepest parts of who we were becoming. What we experienced as children was not random. The loneliness, the sensitivity, the deep emotions, and the moments that shaped us were all preparing us for something greater long before we understood it ourselves. God does not mark a life without purpose. And if these signs connected with your spirit today, then maybe heaven has been guiding your path since the very beginning. And if you think this message was powerful, the next video on your screen may open your eyes even more. We are going to uncover what God says about elderly Christians living alone, why many of them experience spiritual battles in silence, and the shocking truth most people never realize until it is too late. If this video spoke to you, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. May God strengthen your heart, guide your future, and fill your life with peace. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again in the next video.